So Lori Lightfoot is out as mayor of Chicago. We celebrated on the show several weeks ago when she lost in the primary. But unfortunately, in her place, Chicago voters have selected a candidate who appears to be worse. Brandon Johnson is his name. He's an open racist, like the mayor he's replacing. He supports defunding the police in one of the most dangerous cities on the continent. Now we're learning that Brandon Johnson is also opposed to educating children. Here he was in 2018 explaining that when he taught students, he didn't like giving homework or bad grades.
What it taught me, though, was pushing to eliminate sort of the standardization of our public schools. My students sometimes would get frustrated. I didn't offer any test prep. Many of my other colleagues were doing it at the time. I was pushing our administration to move away from that. To be quite frank with you, I didn't issue a lot of homework for students. That was my own way of sort of rebelling against the structure. I don't think I ever gave a kid an F. I don't know how a student sits in front of you and fails. I know some professors may find that, it's slightly troubling.
So by not teaching the students, he was, quote, rebelling against the system. They actually tried this in South Africa, and you know what they got? Illiteracy, and then a failed state. Dan Proft is a radio host in the city of Chicago. He joins us tonight. Dan, our apologies on behalf of the rest of the country that your great, truly great city has been taken over by someone who seems even crazier than Lori Lightfoot. Is that right?
Well, it is right. What you have going on in Chicago is slow motion civilizational suicide, and that clip from Brandon Johnson speaks to it. You had historian Victor Davis Hanson on your program last week, and he said the nation is going through a revolution right now, and they don't even know it. Chicago, the corollary, Chicago is going through a funeral right now, and we don't even know it. Right now in the city, fewer than a quarter of Chicago public school students can read or do math at grade level. That's according to state test scores. And yet that's the response from your incoming mayor. That's his vision for education, K through 12 education. This is somebody who touts himself as an educator. He's a representative of the Chicago Teachers Union, which lords over education in the city. Civilizational suicide. You don't teach children how to read and write. You excuse the criminal element among young people. Major crimes are up 46% year over year in Chicago. And Brandon Johnson's response, as you mentioned, and as he touted during the campaign, is to send social workers and EMTs out to respond to 911 calls that involve the possibility of violence. This is somebody who is openly antagonistic toward police. He has touted defund police as a laudable political goal. And you have a city that has decided to throw in with him. Brandon Johnson, his base of support, 29 of the 50 wards he won, those are the wards where crime is the highest. So where people are suffering the most from endemic violent crime, that's who carried Brandon Johnson to victory. I don't know a better commentary on what the situation is in Chicago than that.
Well, he appealed to race hate, and that's what got him elected. He appealed to race hate as openly as any Southern Democrat in the 1950s. So that's just true.
Well,
Dan Proft, I appreciate it. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say one thing that is important, and you talk about this on your program a lot. It was a racially based election, but you know who really put Brandon Johnson over the top? Was leftist, rich, white women.
Of course. That's the axis right there, Dan Proft. You know how it works. Unhappy private equity wives. Yeah, met them. Great to see you tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson Tonight.